Can agree,
People.
not agree. I'm not speaking for anybody but me, myself, and I. That's all I can do. Speak for me. Oh, okay.
Welcome to Ray's Corner, and today we are having my guest Meka James. We are going to be talking about so many things, and she has a slew of things that we could actually chat about because we are friends, like Mia and I were as well. So we have discussions off camera. But today we'll be talking about her upcoming release that's indie, as well as her traditional published release that's coming out in the fall, and a few other things as well. So please stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy this conversation because I know I will. Welcome, Mika.
Thank you for having me.
Clap, 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 clap,
And
clap.
boundaries. Boundaries, lady, boundaries.
Boundaries.
I know, right? It's a pipe dream, but it's okay. We're gonna work it
Okay, so you are closing out my Black History Month shows. So we are, of course, going to be discussing issues and triumphs and all kind of things happening with Black authors, yourself included, and romance because it's February, so the month of love, and all kind of things like that.
out.
And I want it to start it off with, oddly enough, a non-Black romance, but it's your something that you plan on releasing soon. So anything once. Tell me a little about that re-release.
Okay. Yes. Anything Once was not a Black romance.
It is not.
There are no Black people in that book. Or no, the main characters are not Black. There are Black people in
That
the
is
book.
correct.
I always will have Black people. Um, one of her besties is Black.
Mm-hmm.
But yes. So Anything Once is going to be a re-release. I wrote this book 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. A long time. And it was with a small indie publisher.
Mm-hmm.
And I got my rights back at the endish of last year, 2023. So I am going to re-release it as an indie title because, like, is that anything you can do, I can do better kind of situation. Basically, they weren't promoting it. I cannot promote on my own and not give them 70% of my stuff. So, yeah, it was one of those you live and learn situations. I was trying the whole query thing. It was not a wise decision. But now I have it back. I'm going to re release it. But it is my first erotic romance.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the first book I wrote in third person because all of my other books are in first. But it is an erotic romance. It's also my first established romance where it is a marriage in trouble. So the couple has already been together. There's no meet and falling in love situation. And basically, it starts off with the wife, Quinn, who comes home from a girls' night out with her friends and hears sound she doesn't expect to hear when she walks into her house of a spicy nature. And she's like, her first thought is, I walked in on my husband cheating on me. Which, devastation, the whole 9 yards, until she hears a different man's voice. She's like, wait, that's not my man. And she discovers him getting some video assistance to getting off. And that jumps off the book of Anything Once. It's one of those things where, like, they think their marriage is good, everything's great, coasting, until it's not, and they have to, like, sit down and start having some hard conversations about things they've been dancing around for years. So it's like, yes, surface level things are great. They have a pretty solid relationship, but under the surface, there's things they're dancing around. Sexual nature, that starts it out, and then there's other little things there that are like, well, not little. There's other issues there.
I'm like little.
Right. not little, but there are other issues there that they have sort of buried under it's fine, we're doing okay, and not really dealing with the situation. So catching her husband in this sort of compromising position, and that sort of spirals out. Well, if he's into this thing and I didn't know he was into this thing, what else are we not sharing with each other? And so ensues, like I said, it's an erotic romance, so lots of steamy times, lots of emotion, lots of connection, but also a deep dive into what happens after the I do, when you think everything is golden, even if like there's nothing super major that sets it off. Because yes, porn is a thing and it can be addiction, and that's a whole other barrel of things that I'm not getting into. But their situation, the porn was the catalyst to like, well, what else do I not know about my spouse, or what else are we not really telling each other, what else are we not really sharing when we thought we were really open and honest with each other. And then you get to the point where like, oh, but I didn't know he liked this kind of thing, or oh, that. So that's what it delves into. So it starts off with it being about spicy, they're going to spice up their sex life, but they have other issues they also have to overcome along with that. That's sort of been lying in wait in the background of their marriage.
Yeah. And so from this, again, it's not a Black romance, but there are a couple of questions I want to ask kind of about that. So we know that this is an interracial marriage, but a romance, but it's also not between a Black person and someone else. It's a Latina and a white dude. So there's that.
Yes.
But there's also the erotic romance aspect, and there's something else, but I'll come back to it. But I kind of want to touch, because it is Black History Month.
Yes.
And folks get real confused somehow about the fact that Black romance and romance written by a Black author are not the same thing. So I kind of just wanted to see, kind of, I know where you stand, but like thoughts on that, because we're constantly trying to explain to people, and I don't feel like it's something that we need to do, because it should just be like common knowledge at this point. Like, we've been having this conversation for years.
I
Yet,
mean, let's be real. Lots of things should be common knowledge. Romance as a genre in whole should be common knowledge.
you
It
know
doesn't
what?
have happily ever after or happy for now. And it's not a story that centralizes a main couple from start to end with them both, or three or four, however many people are involved, surviving at the end. Not a people always like to be like, but it's yes, it's a love story, but it's not a romance. It's romantic, but it's not a romance.
That's
They
another.
can't get the basics right sometimes. Some people can't get the basics right. When it comes to Black romance, it's no surprise that they want to redefine that even more. So, Black romance, Black author, Black main characters. 1 plus 1 equals 2. I'm a Black author. Anything once does not have Black main characters. Therefore, it is not a Black romance.
Right.
Um, it's a romance penned by a Black author, but that's not a category. It would go under interracial and multicultural, because that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If I was writing a romance that had just white people, it'd be, well, they don't have a white people romance, but it would just be the basics. They don't have a white people romance. It would be just whatever contemporary or subgenre that it was kind of situation. So,
Yeah.
right, for Black romances, it's a Black author with Black main characters. How many people make up those main characters? They all have to be Black.
Right.
That's the basics of it to me, and
Two.
not just to me, but that's it. That's what a Black romance is. Why they want to redefine it, I know I'm not on the Clock app, but everything I learned about the Clock app, one is against my will, because two, it pops up on my timeline on Twitter, or sometimes in the group chat. Not gonna say no names, Rae Shawn, but
You're welcome.
I know come February, because it's the month of love and Black History Month, all the hot takes come out.
Mm-hmm.
Lord help us.
Every year.
Every year. It's the same thing. It's just like the new, every year. I don't know why there's not a retention there. But every year it's what makes up a romance and then what makes a Black romance. And people want to be like, because everyone wants, who don't normally read Black romance, wants to try and do a feel good month
Hmm.
and diversify their reading.
Mm-hmm.
So they think if they pick up any book by a Black author, it's a Black romance. No.
Right.
Yes, great. Read
Black
diversely.
authors.
Black authors, whatever. But there's some Black authors who their bread and butter and all they write is either IR or straight up white contemporary. Cool, let them do them, but it's not a Black romance.
Right.
So, like, conflating the two, like, let's be real. It is a romance written by a Black author, and you can still try and get your brownie points by saying you read a Black author. If that's what you want to do you? But it's not a Black romance. It requires the author and the main characters all to be Black.
So I guess just a little bit in that same vein, because we all know that they will be like, well, it's a Black romance, but a white author or Latina, which not necessarily Afro-Latina or Latinx, or take your pick, someone who's not identifying as Black at all, not mixed, not identifying in Black cultures at all, but will have written Black characters. They're like, well, it's Black romance. So where's that fall?
Had libations tonight, so I'm trying.
The pause.
One name popped into my head, but we're not going to go there. Okay, so
Like
1 + 1 is 2. 1 + 1 is 2. Black author, Black main characters, is Black romance.
Oh, that brought tears to my eyes. Okay.
We're gonna leave it at that. 1 + 1 is 2. People like to reinvent their math. We're not going to do girl math. We're not going to do author math. We're not going to do. We're going to do your basic, not even Common Core math, because that's some. We're not going to get into the whole thing with my children in Common Core math. Jesus Christ, no. We're going to do that basic old school elementary math. 1 + 1 is 2.
That part. Okay, so.
And I'm going to keep myself out of trouble.
It's always nice, but now we're going to have that conversation off camera. I'm just saying. To the other point, and it's kind of also something that always comes up. The difference between erotic romance, and contemporary romance.
Right.
You have written erotic romance, and you normally write contemporary romance. I don't think you have any just straight. You have some shorts that are erotica. But anyway, there's a difference between the three. There are a difference between the three.
There are a difference between the three. And the differences between the three, as I see them, me, myself, and I see them. Romance, a central love story that contains a main couple. Again, however many people make up that couple. And you see them from point A to point B to point C, all surviving at the end, because that's what they said. Short of asterisk, back in the day. Also a romance, because we get to see point A to point B to point C. And then we get to see beyond point C.
And for those who don't know what Back in the Day is,
It's a great romance.
Yes, it's a great book by Katrina Jackson. Just so you know, that is what Back in the Day is referencing. Sorry,
yes.
I didn't want to interrupt.
Right. You should go read it. So if you listen to this, you want to keep Kleenex nearby, but read it. Great romance. It tugs the heartstrings. It's amazing.
It really is.
So that's what romance is. And romance can be with or without the steamy bits. Because there's plenty of romances that are closed door, or I like to do them in like movie ratings, like PG, where they maybe hold hands. PG-13, they might have a kiss. that kind of thing, or steamy. Romance can come in varying ranges, like with the movie,
Exactly. Yeah.
but it still makes it a romance with or without the sexy times.
Right.
An erotic romance, the sex is as important as the love story. It's a
Mhm.
50-50 thing. You can't take the sexual journey out of an erotic romance and still have the same level of story, because then it just becomes a romance as opposed to an erotic romance.
Right.
Because the sexual journey is just as important as a love story, like in anything once. Their sexual journey, even as a married couple that's been together for 10, 12 years, I don't remember. Their sexual journey, I don't remember, it's fine. Their sexual journey is just as important as everything else that happens as they rediscover each other as a couple, rediscover each other individually.
Mm-hmm.
And like the two, like that story wouldn't be the same without all the sexy bits.
Right.
So the sexual journey is just as important as the romantic one in a erotic romance. And in erotica, it's all about the sex. Two strangers getting together, hot time, banging it out, work through whatever things individually, whatever that sex means to them at that moment, and then they
Mm-hmm.
can part ways and you never see them again. Great
Or they,
example of this.
it could be like well, I'm sorry, you were going to great example.
Yeah. Brandy Bush is the one that I read about her, the roommate.
Oh
That is
yeah,
hot
yeah. Mm-hmm.
erotica
Absolutely.
because like the whole like and there's a story there. It's not like they just get together and they have sex and whatever. It's an entire book. It's the build up, the tension there is chef's kiss. It's great. And then you get to that scene when they finally get to bang it out. They do their thing. They do it some more and a little bit more. One more again, just for
Good measure.
good measure. And then they go their separate ways.
Mm-hmm.
But leading up to that moment when they get together, it's still a story. Like you're into like, oh, and it's a little naughty because it's two college roommates.
Mm-hmm.
She goes home with the roommate for holiday break and is attracted to the roommate's parents.
Things happen.
And the roommate's parents are attracted to her. These are all consenting adults. And it's a good time. But there's a story there. It is a good time. It's a good time. But that story there, so that's straight erotica because the point of that story it was
Okay.
leading up to the sex. And then they go on about their way and call it good. Everyone's happy and everyone's satisfied. So that's the difference to me between romance. It's just the central love story following the main couple or throuple or whatever the configuration is. Happily ever after, happily for now, with or without the spicy bits.
Right.
Erotic romance, spicy bits, romance, 50-50. Erotica, romance is the sexy bits is 98% of the story.
You're not wrong. And I'm just saying. But like the only other thing I would add is that in erotica, they don't necessarily have to be like strangers. They could be an established friend, or it could be like a couple trying something new.
Right.
But like,
Goodbye,
yeah,
rendezvous.
yeah, something.
Yeah.
Because it could just
Whatever it is, but it's about that moment of intimacy,
that's it.
the carnal act of them banging it out.
Yeah. The couple is a little difficult because that could fall really quickly and really easily into erotic romance. But
Right.
all other setups, definitely. Sex clubs, all that kind of thing. Which have read some of those.
I think one of my short stories is.
Yeah, I was thinking of that, but I was like, I don't know if you want me to throw you under the bus.
Yeah, it was a short. Yeah, my eroticas have been shorts usually. So like the
Mhm.
one that I did, it was a short in an anthology that's now been pulled down. It was only up for a year, but that one was an erotic short.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a masquerade sex for all. It was great, good times.
Things happen.
Yes.
And again in that same vein of like, I guess spice level or chili pepper level, whatever you want to call it. Kind of shifting gears into your upcoming release, Love and Sportsball. It's a sapphic romance.
Yes.
And people look at sapphic romance and any other LGBTQ romance for the most part, depending, except for male. Any other one, mostly sapphic romance, gets looked at like it's just very clean. I hate that word. Very, nothing is happening. It's just too
It's
lovely,
Hallmark.
sweetie.
We'll say
Yeah.
Hallmark.
And I'm just like, but what are y'all reading? Because that, as well as any other romance, is such a variety. So like the variation in that category is so large, and within Black sapphic romance is a whole nother thing. Like Love and
Because it's
Sports Ball is a Black sapphic romance,
yes.
straight up. But when you look out there, people are like, I want this and I want that, and it's like, well, what are y'all like? Where are y'all looking? Because it exists.
I mean,
So
with their whole again, the clock out against my will. There was a whole thing that someone did on TikTok about how people will have the information right in front of them and don't see it. We just go.
Mhm.
we have to let it. We have to let it go. Like she had a whole segment, 2 to 3 minutes, about how people can be like, "Here's this video. Here's where I found this stuff." People still ask you, "Well, where did you get this?"
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, I have never related to something harder. I have children, and they be saying, I love my children. I do. I was having that conversation with them yesterday. Like, sir, did you see this? Why didn't you just do that? You saw it needed to be like clean. Why didn't you just clean it? Why did you wait to tell you to clean it? Like, use your eyeballs. So humans. We're just gonna go with humans. I think what that TikTok was saying is like we are in an age, even though we all have computers in our pockets, we have information at our fingertips, readily accessible. People, we have hit a phase in society or whatever, maybe not getting too deep, but what
Hmm.
they're basically saying that people still want to be literally handheld into seeing, to getting what they want to see,
Yeah,
or what
yeah.
the information they need or whatever. And I think, and it could be like in the earlier days of the sapphic romances, maybe they were more on the hallmark, holding hands, maybe a chase kiss here or there. I don't know. When I started reading sapphic romance, I was finding what I was looking for. But yeah, so like I started with, I think one of my first ones was Chintzia Higgins, Things
Hmm.
Hoped For. Yeah, had a real girl crush there. So on the character. So
Oh, yes, I guess you should specify.
I should specify. Chintzia is great too. Chinzia's adorable. I love her. She's a blast. But yeah, things hoped for. But like in a lot of Chinzia's books are also spicy sapphic
Mhm.
romances. Katrina Jackson, hers aren't. She has hers that like they have some sapphic bits, but like Neighborly comes to mind. But it's like two couples, but they're all bi, so there are some sapphic activities, but it's
Mhm.
not a straight sapphic romance. But it
Yeah.
still fits the quality of it being steamy and romantic and emotional and all of that fun stuff, but also ladies getting it because like I don't know where this thought that if it's two women like they're just gal pals. I guess that's the thought of some because again, I see a lot of TikTok from Twitter. It's unbelievable. But there, even like recently, there was like someone made a TikTok about some sapphic books, and then one of the comments was, well, like the first comment was, "Oh, but I want steam or smut or whatever,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "But, but the books that were recommended." Exactly what you were asking for, like in the slideshow. Okay, cool, great,
Mm-hmm.
awesome. So yeah, I don't know why that became a thing. To think that sapphic books are not going to be steamy. The books that I've read that are sapphic or sapphic adjacent, if they are involve multiple pairings, are all steamy
Yeah.
because that's how I roll. So I found them, like I said, Things Hoped For. I've read Neighborly. Like I said, The Roommate by Brandy Bush. It's a female male situation. Chincy has another book, Chris and Devon Plan a Wedding. Also
Mm-hmm.
very good. Has steamy scenes. Her upcoming release. I haven't read it yet. Can't wait to read it, but I'm assuming it also is going to be
Steamy.
have some steamy bits to it. I'm here for it. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. So, like, I don't know. I don't know why they put it in this. Tried to put Sapphic in this box of being more Hallmark esque
Yeah.
than they are. And like I said, maybe in a side of the book world that I don't frequent, it is. But the side of the book world that I do frequent, what I'm writing matches what I'm also reading, which is my ladies enjoy
Yeah.
each other a lot. They think about sex, they enjoy sex,
But I
they
mean,
find
like,
creative ways to have sex.
that for most people, because we have to remember that there are some people who don't like folks, me. Um,
Yes.
but like for most people, that's human nature. You talk about sex, you think about sex, you want to have sex. Like even if
Right.
you're not outwardly saying it, you're talking with it with your friends or your partner or a therapist. I don't know. Like
Right. I mean, we will make random comments to be like, it will say something, we'll be like, we all stop and giggle because,
yeah,
but like you said, right, for some, humans, sex is a natural part of their existence. For
yeah,
others, it's not cool. You don't want to read about sex, also cool. There are books that cater to that as well.
exactly.
There's books for everyone. But for those of
In the
us,
romance genre, amongst other genres, like let's be for real.
right, there are plenty of books, romance books, whatever, that will have all the various representations, especially this day and age with indie publishing. You have so many variations of things that you can want, all the different representations that people are now feeling better. Non binary. Rian. What is their
Great.
last name? Gray? Is it Gray?
Oh, I should know this, right?
Like, I know their first, but like it just
Tell
went
later.
out of my mind. But Rian, they do non-binary rep. They have done trans rep. They've done sapphic rep. Like there's so many options out there for people. That's like the first one that came to mind.
Oh yeah, no, I've read some of Rian's books. They are a really good author. I can't. They're coming on the show later. I'm really excited to talk to them.
Right. So like there's something for everyone. Whether it so I forgot what my point was now. Life in my brain. But right, there's some for everyone. So I don't know why Sapphic got, or why the thought was that Sapphic was the hallmark isk era of the LGBTQ plus book community.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not. There's variations in Sapphic romance, just like there's variations in all other romances.
Hmm.
So,
But speaking of sapphic romance, in
yes,
particular, yours, you have more than one,
I
but
do.
this upcoming one, Love and Sportsball. It's following a basketball player. a women's basketball player, obviously, and a personal. Well, she's not a personal trainer. She's the athletic
Athletic.
trainer on the team.
Yeah, athletic trainer.
You don't do sports.
I do not.
And I know this, but we need to let our audience know a little bit about how you fell into writing a sports-esque book.
Because I hadn't written sports before.
It is not that simple. Keep talking.
I mean, okay, but that's really. I hadn't written sports before. I know people enjoy sports romances. It's a thing. And as an author, I like to try and like to try new things. That's why I wrote Anything Once as third person, because all of my books leading up to that one were in first. I'm like, I should try it.
Yeah.
See if I can do it, if I can execute it well, and to see if I like it, see if there's something I want to change up. I've gone back to first person, in case you wonder. Not to say I wouldn't do third person again.
You did Anything Once.
I did Anything Once. But when I originally thought of the idea, I was like, what if I wrote a sports romance? But because I like to leave myself little trapdoors to get out of corners, if I did it from the outlook of a person who isn't into sports, but wouldn't it be ironic? Is even though they didn't like sports, they still worked in a sporting field. Isn't that wild? Like, I thought it'd be kind of cool. And also, if I got sporting terms wrong, well, the character doesn't know sports. Backdoor. Maybe not backdoor. See, them random innocent words can trip you up. Trapdoor. Trapdoor, not backdoor. We're gonna be okay.
Same thing. It's fine.
Good times. So yeah, but no. So Khadijah, who is the new athletic director for my fictional WNBA team, doesn't sport. She works in sports, but she is more concerned. She says in the book, spoiler, not really. She doesn't have to like the sport to fix the bodies that play it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that was what I went with. So we get to see her learn about a sport she's been her career around from new set of eyes, because she now has a newfound interest in it due to one of the players. That also complicates her life a little bit because she doesn't like to mix business with pleasure. But oopsie, one night stand. Then she goes to work on Monday and be like, oh, I know her better than I probably should. So yeah. Oopsies. So yeah, that's why I came about with the sports book, because it was to challenge myself to see how I, as a non-sporty person, could write a sports romance. But I did research. I did watch the sporty events. I have sporty people that are in my life who I could go to for reference and questions. I could ask them random questions. They would laugh, but then answer it. It was great. So while I don't do sports, I did put, like I do with all of my books, made sure that I wasn't just putting out any old thing. So I did do the work required to get there, to make it plausible, but also trapdoor, try to do most of the sporty stuff from the non-sporty person.
Just fall through in case.
Just in case.
That's fine. You're a mess.
That's great. I've gotten good feedback on it. People are going to love it when it comes out in September.
Yeah.
I hope. Fingers crossed you love it. I do adore Shay and Khadijah, even though they were pains in my ass. But most of my ladies have been. So we won't even talk about Remy.
No, actually, we are going to talk about Remy. We are, but not at this very moment.
Great. Maybe you'll forget between now and then.
I won't, but cute. I wanted to talk about the fact that you said you like to do things, you like to try something to at least see if it's something that you would want to do more than once. So, like with
Yes.
the writing in third person, you have not come back to it at the moment,
Yeah.
but
No.
maybe you will in the future. Maybe, maybe not. And the same thing with the sports. Well, we know that there's another book in the series, so it has to be somewhat sports related. But I'm just curious how you kind of combat, which is something you've openly spoken about, but like combat that imposter syndrome when it comes to stepping into something that you haven't done before.
Oh, I mean, that's a daily struggle. And it's not just about the stuff I haven't done before. I've written 10, 10 books, 11 books. I've written so many books, and each time
Double digits.
I forget how to write a book, if that tells you anything. So, I do suffer from, I don't know if it's imposter syndrome as much as it's just debilitating at times self doubt
Hmm.
that I am plagued with through every project except for one. Out of all of the books and short stories I've written, there's only been one that has come easily to me, surprisingly, and that's Being Mary. All the rest of them, all the rest of them, I've I've struggled. Like, the wheels on the bus weren't always going round and round for me. Sometimes we had 3 out of 4 flat tires.
I can't.
So
I'm glad I didn't spit that wine everywhere.
I'm just saying, sometimes 3 out of 4 of the tires were flat, but it's gonna be okay. No, I do. I don't know if it's part of my process or what. I do have to fight with it daily. Some days I win, some days I don't. That's just the truth of the matter. There are times where I am just lost. I cry. I am whiny. I am surprised. None of my friends have blocked me. Um, Seriously, I don't know how y'all put up with me, but I love y'all for it. No, it is a struggle. It is something that I do struggle with. I am always worried about, is this going like I expected it to go? Is this going to be believable? Are people going to understand what the story means? Are people going to connect with the characters? Why am I doing this? And we're not even going to get on the other side of the business things. We won't bore the listeners with that aspect. But um, it's I'm not gonna lie, with each project, with each book, like I said, I have had moments where I'm just like, why am I here and what the fuck am I doing here? Not gonna lie. Like I said, out of all the books I've written, I've had exactly one that I can remember being able to just, I don't know why. That one I sort of not completely breezed through, but that one was just like, oh, I guess we're doing this. Okay. Like those two were just in their element. They didn't throw up any real surprises. They just who they were, who I initially imagined them to be.
Oh yeah, I love Noelle. She was just like, but everything's so Christmassy.
Noelle was glorious. Looking up the ugly outfits was so much fun. And I was like, and fun note, every outfit I described was something I could actually find on the Googles.
That
Not
is
gonna lie.
that
Like
is
I would like when I have to, I'm sort of visual in some ways. So I'll have
yeah.
to look up an outfit to try and describe it. So like it's always a base of something that I actually saw that people sold. And then I would just like embellish or change from there. But it was all things. So like that chimney dress that she had on, it was, I think, a sweater that I just made into like a dress situation and then embellished it from there. That kind of thing. Like, and then I thought the headbands were just a fun touch. And then Grumpy Lennox, Lord, she just wanted to play her video games and be left alone. And then her sister inflicted a Noel on her. And she's like, what did I do to deserve a Noel? But then it worked
I
out in
think
the end.
you did everything right because
Exactly. But those two, because my character's like, I'm like, okay, this is how this character's supposed to be. This is how this character's supposed to be. And then I start writing them, and they were just like, ha ha ha, you thought. Lennox and Noelle, however, were like, yeah, that's who we are. And I was like, great, y'all are amazing. Y'all are my favorite. You know, you're supposed to say favorites when you have your whatever, but they're my favorite because they were cooperative. And I can't say that about all of my ladies. I'm looking at you, Remy.
Okay, so before we get to Remy, because see, you brought her back up before I
We're
could.
not
That
gonna.
is
That's fine.
we
Let's go.
are
Let's talk with
we are
Noelle.
absolutely getting there. But after Noel, and didn't you had another one between being married, or was it before being married?
No. So if we're talking about my sapphic books, it started with being hospitable,
Yeah, that's what
then
I
it
was
went
thinking.
to
That
being
came first.
married.
Yeah,
No, Remy was my third
third.
sapphic, first full length,
Yeah.
Mechanics of Love, and then I've had some shorts in between there, like
Hmm.
that were in anthologies. I had shorts that were sapphic shorts that were in the Best Lesbian Erotica, and then the no Big Book of Orgasms was not sapphic. So yeah, but the best I had some shorts, and then the book I released in November is also sapphic, but I only had two prior to my first full, but the first two were novellas.
Yeah. I was like, hospital, being hospitable came before being married, but my brain could not remember which one
Yes.
came first, for whatever reason. Although I know being married was the last one in that series.
No.
It wasn't?
Wait. Is it being Oh, it is. Maybe is it?
I'm like, am I tripping? I'm looking at the books right here. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think I have them labeled in there either.
Being hospitable, being cordial with
Do
my.
I label them on the inside, one, two, or three?
I don't think so, but I'm pretty sure.
I think they're
Hospitable.
labeled on. I mean, it's fine. You might be right. I think being cordial came before being married.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
It's fine.
You're
Um,
out of me.
look, you made me have to pull the books off my bookshelf. Like, hold on, wait a minute.
I don't remember. I don't remember. But being married might be the last one. You know what? I think you're right. Yeah, you're probably right. We're gonna go with your memory, not mine. Because I know clearly mine cannot be trusted.
Well, with that, I want to play a game.
Oh, good God. This sounds like a setup if I've ever heard one.
I played a couple games with Mia, and of course Mia Heinzelman is a lovely hot mess. And she was like ready to go, and I'm like,
Yeah,
Did you know what I was gonna say before I said it? Like, make this make sense." Anyway,
probably has a much better memory.
I'm playing a slightly different game with you. We're still towards the beginning of the year. It's only February, and I'm curious if you can name a couple sapphic romances because you have one coming out that are you are looking forward to this year.
Oh, Carmen Lee's 710 split.
Hmm. I'm excited for that one. Bowling.
Chintzia Higgins, A Little Kissing Between Friends.
Oh, that cover. Oh, that cover.
Yes.
I mean, the book as well, but like that
Yeah,
cover.
and they both come out in May. I think they come out like a week apart. So we have to
Yeah.
wait for May to get them, but they both come out in May. I think those are the only ones announced for this year that I have kept up with. But I don't read a lot of traditional
Hmm.
published books. I read mostly indie because that's where I can find a lot of the sapphics that I read.
Hmm.
Um, but also with indie, like we don't see their announcements months out usually.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's something else that's coming out that I was like, oh, I want to read that. There was one that I put in for a book club. It's the Vampires
Mhm.
Ravenous Fate. I think it's called Ravenous Fate.
Did I miss that in the chat? I feel like I missed that in the chat.
Yeah, it's black sapphic. romance set, I think, in the Harlem Renaissance. If I remember.
Oh,
We're not gonna go
I
off my
remember
memory.
that
But
premise. I don't
Kevin
remember the name
Owens
of
the
the book.
Ravenous Fate. Huh?
I don't remember the name of the book, but I remember that premise, and I was like, absolutely.
Right. So there's that one as well that I know is sapphic. Also, surprisingly, traditional book. But we're
Yeah.
doing new things this year. Um, I can't think of any others because my memory is trash.
You've also had libations.
Libations.
uh,
But even without libations, my memory's trash. My memory's trash the moment I wake up. Let's be
I
real.
get that.
My children look. I went through a whole roll call and didn't get any of the right children I was looking for today, and they're just like, "Mom, seriously, yes, you love me. It's all that matters." So there's that.
I don't know how that goes, but I can only imagine. My mom has done that to us too. Like you
It's like,
called
nope, not
every
that one. Nope, not that one. And they're like, "What? What are you? Just I'm you right there." So it's great. It's good times.
my mom has done that too. I have friends whose moms called them by the pets' names, and I'm like, damn.
I mean, I go through the pet names too. Not gonna lie, they don't listen to me nobody anyway, so it's fine. I'm like, it's fine. They all ignore me unless they're either getting fed or they think someone else is going to get some attention. They're like, oh, yeah, my name is Loki. No, it's not. But cool, you can come over here anyway. Like, it's fine.
Okay, so memory ain't working for you well. That's fine. Do you have a book nearby?
Yes.
Grab a book, and we're gonna flip to a page.
My book or someone else's book?
Either, whichever you choose.
Oh, let's get the one that's closest to me. Oh, we were just talking about Chancia's book. Let's not knock everything over. Beautiful.
So, what book did you grab? Oh, yes, yes. Things hoped for. Shinsia Higgins.
For yes.
Absolutely. Oh, that cover's so cute too.
I know.
It's just simple, but it's adorable.
I know.
Since I'm thinking of a page number, let's go to 112.
Does it have 112 pages? Yeah, it
Is
does.
it
Okay.
I'm like, it's not a short.
Not super long either.
read
112. Okay.
read the first quote on the page.
You mean dialogue?
Hmm.
Okay. Because good. Now tell me about your secret celebrity bae. When you, I can't read out loud. When you told me that you'd met someone, you'd failed to mention that she was a freaking rapper.
Okay. What is going on in that scene?
Let me read it. It looks like it's the friends talking. Gotta go back to the page before. Yes. So it's the two friends. So again, memory's gonna fail me. But it's the friends. So the rapper is Zenobia. Um, but and then Latricia? Yes. So it's the two friends, Latricia friend and her friend chatting. And she's looks like she's going on about the magic that Zenobia has with her hands.
Okay. So
And they're chatting about basically she met Zenobia and she's smitten, it seems like. And she's like, but you ain't saying, like, you were withholding need to know information. Basically that.
you
She
didn't
was a
give me
rapper.
that information that I needed to know.
Right.
How very dare you? Okay. Do you have a celebrity crush?
Oh, yeah, I like Janelle Monae. She there,
There, yeah.
their just personality and aura and everything is just plus.
You went to see them in concert, didn't you?
I did go see them in concert.
How was
Absolutely,
that?
I've seen them a few times actually in concert. That's one of the perks of working at a concert venue sometimes. um, sometimes.
Sometimes.
So a few years back, they performed at one of the venues I work at, and they were doing two shows. I worked one, I attended one, so I got to see them twice. And
Mhm.
then there was usually a big music festival here in Georgia called Music Midtown, and they also performed there. And I saw them. So I saw them 3 times a year. That was great. But for their most recent, the Pleasure Tour, I
Mhm.
saw them October. Was it October? I
Sounds
think it
about
was
right.
October when they came to Atlanta. I saw them because they performed at the Fox Theater. So it was date night, and we went to see the concert. Met up with Chris, or Carmen Lee. She was also there. So that was fun. It was a good time. And I don't own a record player, but I absolutely bought the record for their latest album. The record's really pretty. Plus, I like the artwork, the cover
Yeah.
art.
Yeah. It is very beautiful. I wish I had got that
Yeah, I
one.
got like the album itself is blue. It's so
Yeah.
pretty.
There were
Like I
like
want
four
to put it.
different versions.
There were, and I'm like, if I didn't know how much it cost to frame stuff, because I would frame the album just because it's like artwork. Like the color of it is so pretty. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So we've kind of hit on things that could be considered self-care, especially with like trying to deal with writing and how it makes you feel and all these other things that come up in that process of being indie slash traditional, which is hybrid for those who don't know. I'm just curious what other kind of self-care things that you do when you are literally just feeling completely down and out.
Um, I played The Sims because I enjoy The Sims. That's how I ended up here. Uh, so I will play The Sims sometimes if I'm like having thing blocked, whatever. I will just play with my pixelated people. As much as y'all give me shit, I will binge watch some Tubi. There will be no Tubi slander on this interview. Uh,
You know me.
you
You
don't
know
tolerate,
me.
don't tolerate Tubi slander up in this house. No
Well,
Tubi
I'm
slander.
not in your house.
Fire virtually, so same deal. So Tubi, and then also I am a bath girly. I enjoy
Mhm.
a nice bath bomb, soaking in my tub, having some music playing, and just usually a nice glass of wine, and just relaxing. And you can sit there and your mind can think about anything or nothing or whatever, and it just is relaxing, and that's also so. Those are my top three things that I do. If I've been a good a good girl and Santa was nice to me, I've gotten a gift certificate to a spa somewhere and I get a massage. That's a extra perk sometimes, but not all the time. The basics are either Sims, Tubi, or bath time.
We like that. We love that. And then occasionally a concert. Um,
I mean, those are
those,
against my will sometimes because it's work, but it's
well,
okay.
yeah, but I mean, like just for enjoyment purposes, not working.
Yeah, I surprisingly I don't go to a lot of concerts for fun. Janelle's the first one I've gone to for fun in maybe a year. I worked Jacob Banks. I think that's the right name. I always get the last. I think it's Banks, not Blanks. But he came to one of the other venues that I worked at, and then I stayed after so I could enjoy his concert because I do like his music as well. So that was.
Didn't you also stay for Teddy Swims?
I did also stay for Teddy Swims.
Yeah, yeah. So you know,
I like music, and Teddy Swims. One of his songs is on the playlist for book two for my sporty non-sporty series.
it's sporty-ish. It's sporty-esque, like the first
Sporty
one.
adjacent.
Eh.
It's
We'll
good
come back.
times though. No, I am proud of how I managed to pull off sports in that book,
Yeah.
and it sound like I knew ish what I was talking about.
And so I'm just curious because technically it's not your actual first traditionally published book, quote unquote, but it is the a larger publication, My Power.
Yes,
So like just kind of going into that, you've already kind of touched on it a little bit when you talked about anything once. And of course, we know there was another book that you had done that you were considering doing the querying process for, but this is a trad deal.
it is.
What kind of made you? Is this another one of those? Let's try it and see what happens situations.
Are you mad if I say yes? No, actually, with this situation, this one was, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say unique, not unique, not the norm. There's a word, not typical. It was not the typical situation with how I ended up with Harlequin,
Mm-hmm.
with the Afterglow book line. So, John Jacobson, they've done a couple of interviews on different podcasts, and information's come out about the new line, about it
Mm-hmm.
trying to be a little bit different than what their current category lines have been with Harlequin.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't, I don't want to say I didn't have to submit to them because I did, but it started with a conversation with the editors and not a straight up, I wrote this thing and submitted it to them kind of querying process, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
So it's not the norm, it's the outlier. That's the word I was looking for. Look at that.
It's
So it
80.
wasn't the norm. I had a conversation with the editors just about if I would be interested in submitting something to them, possibly. Um, and I had Love and Sports Ball started
Mm-hmm.
already. And I had, like, it wasn't finished because, again, I was struck, like I said, I always have a project that I struggle with. And I struggle with that one too. And I struggled to the point where, because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it, and it had nowhere to be, it just languished for a little while. But I talked to the editors, and they, John asked that I send it in, and I
Mm-hmm.
did. And I sent in what I had. So it wasn't the full story, but I had to do the synopsis thing. Which, I'm a pantser. I don't know what's going to happen in these books before I get there. I really don't. I Your guess is good as mine. Like, I don't know. I don't know. But I had to write a synopsis and then clean up the chapters that I had and things like that. But never, when I started this whole writer gig, I didn't think I'd be with like a main publisher. I just never thought that was something in my realm. Also, because I don't know, I just don't ever think I'm gonna make it there. But I am, and I'm thrilled, and I'm excited about what's about getting the opportunity, which adds a new layer of pressure. But I was excited about the opportunity, shocked when they were like, yes, we want it, plus another. Not gonna lie, I was just like, was that the right email? Did you mean to say that? Did you mean to put my email address in this? So, um, so there was that whole thing. But because right, like I've had like with Limitless and whatever, but this is my first sort of big
Mm-hmm.
traditional situation. Like I'm gonna be in bookstores, and like I'm gonna end up like on the Net Galley, and I'm going to have like, I'm waiting till I get like that box of books delivered to my house. So I can do an unboxing and hold it up and make funny faces and be like, "This is my book," kind of situation. I'm looking forward to that. I honestly never thought it'd be me. Like I'd see other people, but I always thought I was going to be an indie girl through and through. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, the smaller publishers, but you see, I got my book back, so that didn't. But I was like, I didn't think I'd be here, and I'm
Right.
very grateful that I am. I am very thankful for the opportunity and for the people in my life that believed in me and supported me. Shout out to Tasha L. Harrison. That believed in me and supported me, and thought you can do this. Like, you are just as talented as the next writer, that kind of thing. Because like, y'all be believing it when I don't, and appreciate you, because I'm just gonna be real. I don't always be believing. I'll be like, you really mean me, kind of thing. Um, and I know sometimes people think that's validation seeking, but no, I really have this whole self doubt situation that
Yeah.
plagues me, like, a lot, that I need to probably be in therapy for. I'm looking for one. We're gonna work it out.
Listen.
But yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing how things go with being with Afterglow. Looking forward to the book coming out, starting to promote it. Seeing how it's received without being in like the reader review spaces, but the social media things will trickle across, and I will see things and be like, yay or boo, but I will do one of those things to myself, never out in public, because I have home training. Um,
I'm sorry, I did not mean to outburst laugh like that. What came to mind? Okay. Anyway.
my bad, sorry.
Hmm.
But you're right. So, like, I'm looking like, I'm always hopeful that my books are going to be received. Like, no one, I'm not one of those naive people that think, oh, it's perfect. Blah, blah. I know better than that. I don't
Hmm.
get to my big age without realizing whatever. Um, but I know people are not going to like it. They're going to have problems with it. That comes with the territory. I'm aware of that. I'm a big girl. I've accepted that. It's part of it's part of doing what we do.
Yeah.
You're never going to have 100% 5-star rating, because at that point, who'd you pay to do all them ratings? Like, it's not a thing.
That.
Um, so you take the highs with the lows.
Yeah.
It's just part of what it is. But I am looking forward to those things. Like, if people are just out at a bookstore and they're perusing, they'll actually get to come across my book and see it, and maybe be like, oh, the cover's really cute. Let's see what this book's about. Or they look at the blurb and be like, oh, this sounds interesting. Let me get this, kind of thing. I'm looking forward to reaching those new readers that I wouldn't get the reach being just an indie, because yes, there's indie bookstores and things of that nature, but
Mhm.
it's still harder to get as an indie, unless you're more of a well-known indie. It's still hard to get that shelf space. It
Right. Yeah.
it just is. So I'm looking forward to at least having that aspect of it, with being with Harlequin and Afterglow, being able to walk into my Barnes and Noble or Books a Million and being like, my book's on a shelf. Like, that's going to be a super highlight of my career. Like, no lie, I'm looking forward to that. And again, like I said, I'm very thankful for being able to be there and have that opportunity, and to be able to look forward to experiencing that,
Yeah.
and everything that has sort of like led up to there. All the people that have, like I said, helped me along the way, believed in me, give me that sort of boost when I was just down and kicking myself, and y'all be like, get your head out of your ass. Appreciate all of y'all. Even when I pretend like I don't, because y'all be mean to me, but it's fine. It's cool.
It's not mean. It's just real.
It's me, but it's fine.
We
So yeah, that's where we're at.
love that. I do have a side note question for anyone who wants to meet you in person or come to an author event that you might be attending or anything like that. What do you have going on this year that you know of so far?
I will be at, oh, what was that word? I will be at Lavender Con, which I think is a new conference that's starting this year. It's going to be in DC last weekend of June. So I'll be there. And then the following month, I will be in Nashville for a One Love reunion for that reader author conference. So those are the only two where I'll be there as an author. If you're in the Atlanta area next weekend and you already got your tickets, I will be at Love Y'all Fest with Carmen Lee, but not as an author. Carmen also does bookish swag as a separate business, and she's there as a vendor, and I will be there as her assistant. So come by and say hello to us, buy some bookmarks, not markers, bookmarks, or
Magnets,
mugs, magnets, fun things like that that she'll have available to purchase at Love Y'all Fest next Saturday
in Atlanta.
In Atlanta on the 17th. Yes.
Oh wait, that's Saturday.
Saturday, yes. I have to look at my calendar, like not next. This Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next Saturday, what day are we on?
We don't get it
I
together.
don't know anymore. Okay. And you're not getting away from Remy. I just wanted to touch on the fact that you thought. I just wanted to touch on the fact that she is her and Irene are one of your most popular couples in they're the end of a series. And you've already talked about just some of the struggles that you have with writing in general, but you've hinted at Remy yourself twice, so this is your fault. But
it's called victim blaming. Pretty sure that's victim blaming.
Is it?
Yes.
I think that you have just mentioned something that you wanted to talk about, so we're bringing it up. You could always say,
I said I can't be in control of my own actions. We've discussed this before.
It's so. Never mind. We ain't even going there. I'm not playing with you. Mechanics of Love.
Yep.
Is an adorable slow burn. And I say it's adorable because they literally are just like, no, it's not happening. It's not happening. Maybe
well, only one of them was saying that. The other one was like, please do me.
I was trying not to
laugh. She was like, please do me. I want you, please do me. And she was just like, no.
Absolutely. It focuses on Remy and Irene is bisexual.
Yes.
Can you tell readers who and folks, other authors and other listeners who haven't read this book and might be interested in picking up one of your other sapphics or one of your other romances in general, a little bit more about this couple and why you have mentioned that they were such a struggle?
As I said before, I'm a pantser. Like when I start writing a book, I typically will have a general idea of which character is going to have kind of what personality. Mm-hmm. That's always my starting base. And then we build off of that. So Remy and Irene came at the end of a series. So for 2 books, I built up that Irene would be the character that would have the most to work through. She has been keeping things from her friends. Her life is sort of in shambles. She's trying to find her way, find her voice really for the first time, and step into who she was. And I thought she would be the one that needed to work through more stuff when I started writing this book. And when I typically write a book, I have one character, because so far I've only done 2 characters, but things have changed. But right now I just have character A and character B. I always have one character that usually has a little bit more baggage. So like they'll come with like 2 suitcases, both of them over 50 pounds, plus a carry-on and a personal item. And the other character will come with like a backpack.
Okay.
So I have to use terms people can relate to. Like,
yes.
So that's typically the setup. It doesn't always work the way, but that's how it typically goes. So I expected Irene to come with her 2 suitcases over 50 pounds and everything. And I expected Remy to have a backpack. Remy was like, I mean, she did, but that's a whole different backpack. We'll get to that. one,
I
but not
tried
for
to
services.
laugh. I really did. Because I already knew you were going there when you said backpack the
Actually,
first
I
shit.
didn't. That's what I'm saying. Even in when I'm talking, I don't have these things put down in advance. So you're welcome. Welcome to my mind. Um, Remy also, she didn't have two suitcases over 50 pounds, but she did have one plus a carry on. And I know that when I started writing. Remy was supposed to be the easy one.
Mm-hmm.
I created her character as being very straightforward. She saw it and told it like it is. She didn't have time for pretend or make nice or anything. She was the anti Irene. Irene was all about fake niceties, putting on a show. She was the Joneses. And she wanted to make sure everyone wanted to keep up with her. And Remy was just like, fuck that noise. That's how they were.
Mm-hmm.
Only not so much, apparently, because Remy also showed kind of what people expected to her, but to a different degree.
Yeah.
And as I started writing her, I was just like, yo, what is this? Like, what are we doing here? Like, why, what are these feelings? What are these situations? What are these emotions? Like, what is happening? So, like, I didn't expect Remy to have her own deep things to work through. Like both of
Yeah.
them usually have something. Um, I think the only other person that had something as close to having the same amount of like baggage was in book one with Marcel and Cynthia because
Mm-hmm.
their baggage was intertwined, made sense. And Heat, Alec just had to get over the fact that he wanted to be with a woman more than for funds and hookups. And then she was just like, okay, thanks for the good time, deuces. He had to work through that.
You're not
Am I wrong?
you're not wrong.
Okay. But Remy had her own things because while Madison Island was a great, progressive, welcoming community, no matter what, you dickheads are abundant.
Yeah.
So even in her time in Madison and when after she left, she encountered people who would be asses. And part of that shaped her outlook on life. And then she had her home life because it was just her and her dad because her mom bailed. Reasons unknown. Don't ask me why. Reasons unknown. Um, and so she had to work through that and what it was like being raised by a single father
Yeah.
who had a daughter when he, not so secretly for a long time, wanted a son.
Mm-hmm.
And what that did to her, and then being a gay daughter of a man who still not so secretly wanted a son.
Yeah.
And then you add into that, she ended up with a father. He ended up sick. And this is not spoiler. It comes up first thing early in the book. And she has to be his caregiver when they already have that sort of
Contentious.
contentious relationship. But that's her parent, and she still loves him despite his flaws. But it wears on her.
Yeah.
And she'd had no one to share her burden with. And she didn't think she could have anyone to share her burden with. So she presented a stoic front of, I'm good, all is golden, I got it handled, I don't need this, that, and the other. But, you know, Irene was good at calling her out on the fact that she was like, oh, so you pretend too. So we're the same. And Irene's like, absolutely not. Remy's like, no, we're not the same. She's like, but we are. We're the same. We're the same. Two sides of the same coin. And Remy
Mm-hmm.
was absolutely not. But also, I was absolutely not because I was just like, what are we doing here? This was not supposed to be the case. So it was a journey to write that book, to discover Remy's secret that she was sort of hiding things
Yeah.
and presenting a different front. But she was still blunt and to the point and that kind of thing. And like she said, she was like, people, she's like, how's your dad? She's like, he's as well as can be. He's like, it's not a lie, but she's not going into detail.
Right.
So she was like, it's not the same. She's like, but it's the same. So it's the same. But it was interesting to see them two come together because they were very much an unlikely pair given their history back when they were in high school. Irene, it's not a bully situation because we don't do that here.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't a bully situation. It was definitely like a dislike thing because like Irene desperately wanted Remy's attention and went about it in all the wrong ways because she kept putting herself in Remy's path in the most obnoxious ways. And Remy, in the most obnoxious ways. And Remy just didn't have time for it because she had her own stuff and she's just like, I have no time for this nonsense. And it just made Irene kind of want her more. But also, it's high school. She was dealing with figuring out her sexuality. She saw how Remy was reacted to when Remy's sexuality became a known thing. And she was like, oh, I can't do that. So she, but she knew she needed to own up to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Irene had her growing to do. And I knew Irene would have her growing to do. And like she earned that. So like we don't see her. There's not a bi awakening in the book. She had that off page in college. She knew she was bi. She just had to come to terms with it of her own accord, but outside of the confines of the life she built for herself, of the image she'd made of herself while in her hometown initially. Right. But Remy was just Remy, and like poor sweet Remy. She's like, I just want somebody. I just want to lay on a pair of boobs and be told everything's gonna be okay. That's it. But it was just interesting to watch the two of them come together and to watch her character sort of unfold in a way that I was not expecting. And it was challenging because I kept trying to fight it. I was like, you're not supposed to have all this. You're supposed to be the easy one. Which was like, you thought, however, I'm not. Mm-hmm. That's why I say Remy was my most challenging character, mainly because I expected her to be this one way. And she was for most of it, but she also had other things that were going on that I wasn't aware of until I started writing her. And then she told me about them and we argued about it. She won.
That's what it was an argument. What is wrong with authors? What do they mean they character won? You don't understand. The characters win.
They win, and Remy won. Like, like I went through a lot of versions trying to get to the right thing, and eventually I had to just stop fighting her. And when I did, it seemed to flow a little bit easier. And then things developed from there. But yeah, it is my first slow burn. Mm-hmm. And it needed to be because they had to work on themselves sort of individually. But also, Remy had some trust issues, obviously, to work through. And given her past with Irene, plus just her life experience up to that point, she had some trust issues. And she wasn't just going to like jump into it. And they had to work through it. And Irene had to earn it. She had to earn it. And she was well rewarded for her efforts. But she had to earn it. But then, yeah, I was not expecting her to have so much to sort of work through. But she did. And she also couldn't just jump into a physical relationship with someone because she needed to have like a deeper emotional connection with someone before she could go there, which was also a surprise to me. So there was that.
And so I think that something I noticed, because I got to read both of those books being Mechanics of Love while you were working on it and after it came out, as well as Love and Sportsball, which is coming out in the fall. The difference that I see between how you handled that, just because we have had conversations off camera, I guess off camera is not exactly accurate, but not recorded camera.
Not for everyone, other people haven't listened in on our conversations.
That part. It's not recorded. Um, is I did see the difference between like how you have let yourself like let the characters guide the story a little bit more if that's what needs to happen. So you kind of did that a little bit more in Love and Sports Ball because Shay had a little bit of underlying situations going on that you hadn't anticipated either, but not to the level that Remy had.
Right. This is
Yeah.
true. Khadijah was always supposed to be sort of the more reserved, uptight one, and Shay was supposed to be that sort of fun-loving, I'm all in, I go where the wind blows me, I'm a paper bag kind of situation. Um, she kind of was for the most part, but when she caught real feelings,
Yeah.
that was something new for her. Not like she didn't like the people she dated before, but it was given what
Okay.
she did, she didn't really ever sort of get attached.
Mm-hmm.
So when she found herself getting more attached to Khadijah and Khadijah sort of pulling away, like she had to grapple with that. And she had her own sort of issues there that she had to sort of like work through and figure out, well, what does this mean? And how to deal with it, how to handle it, how to still try and respect the boundaries that Khadijah kept trying to erect, but it's romance. You know how it goes.
It's romance.
Um, so yeah, like Shay had her own sort of issues and things that makes her, it's always good that they have their things because your characters need to be well rounded. You don't want a paper doll character that's boring. So she did have some things that popped up, and I was just like, really? But okay, cool. I am learning. I'm still learning, but I'm learning to try and if the characters be like, but how about this though? I can't say, well, they wrecked my plan because I just said I don't really be having one.
Right.
It's already a losing argument. I can't be like, but I had planned because they'd be like, bitch, you ain't had
No,
no
you
plan.
didn't. No, you
Like,
didn't.
let's be real. You just keep saying that you are a pantser. What plan? Why are you lying? So I'm a work in progress. But
Think
that's
that
yeah,
you
that's
are.
what it is. But I am looking forward to Shay and Khadijah because they both they grow together, they learn things about each other, about themselves. You know how it goes. But I think they ended up working out well together. And one of the things that's always sort of important to me in my books is having like a cast of people around them. So they have their friends and their family and stuff because they don't live in like in an isolated bubble.
Yeah. Like
So
most people.
like,
Like most people. Well, thank you so much, Mika, for coming on. I am looking forward to the release of Anything Once. I enjoyed reading that ahead of time.
yeah, I need to work on those edits. I don't know when it's coming out, but soonish.
Listen, you promised that it would be soonish, so I need it soonish.
Soonish. Remember that trapdoor I said I get myself?
I
Soonish.
cannot. For folks who want to connect with you, where can they find you?
I am still on the Twitters at author Meka James there. I am also on the Instagram, also at author Meka James, but then there's an underscore in there. Yeah, there's an underscore in there. And I started recently on the Blue Sky thing, but I'm not there very often. But you can follow me over there, same name, because I am forgetful as we have learned over the course of the last hour or so. I need to keep things simple for my own sake. So you can find me at most places if you just look up author Meka James. Website, email, everything. Keep it simple.
There you go. Thanks so much for coming on and rounding out Black History Month and
You're
touching on
welcome.
topics that obviously need to be talked about more in like a way that's like this because we get a lot of the contentious discourse and can we just be real? Does it have to turn into an argument? Like, come on,
Yeah, and like I said, everyone has opinions. I'm
and
sharing
that's
mine.
fine.
People can
People,
agree,
people.
not agree. I'm not speaking for anybody but me, myself, and I. that's all I can do. Speak for me.
Exactly. Until next time, thanks for tuning in to Rae's Corner. Bye.
Bye.